Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Charles here, and welcome to the show. I have a great guest for you today. Now, we're always talking about school is out. What are we going to do with these kids? Are they making money? Are we making money? With gas prices going up and down, what can we do? Like, I don't know about you, but son's always asking me, hey, dad, can I got some money? Hey, dad, can I get this? I'm like, go find a job. What are your kids doing? Well, let's find out. We talk about a lot of things on this show, but let's talk about our special guest. Let's go. How you doing, sir?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to do this.
Glad to have you on here. Listen, before I know you saw the intro, I'm talking about my kids. You know what I mean? Summer's here. They're going to be asking you for money to go here, to go to this festival, this birthday party.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, what do you have? Like, what do you say to your kids?
Yeah. Well, so we made the decision to try to use that opportunity to teach them entrepreneurship. And we used a lemonade stand, which is a pretty, typical kind of trope, but we tried to do it in kind of a different sort of a way. So we taught them about how you need to make something that people actually want. So we taught them to go out and like taste test recipes, and we taught them about profit and how you have to take the amount of money that you charge, and you have to subtract your ingredients and subtract your labor and
Right.
subtract your packaging and all that kind of stuff, and taught them about if you increase the price by $1, it has a huge impact on your unit costs. And we designed custom packaging. So we made like a mood board on Pinterest, and they found cool packaging they liked, and then we went on a packaging website and ordered bottles and got labels made and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to just give them money, and I didn't want to just I didn't even necessarily want them to just go get a job. I wanted to show them that like you can create value in this world, and that you have a lot more agency than you think, and that it's hard work and all that kind of stuff. But if you're willing to get out there, you can be pretty successful with it. So that's what we did.
Let's backtrack then.
Sure.
So what was the young Sean doing then? You growing up, where were you born and raised?
I grew up in Colorado, and grew up in the Springs, went to school in Boulder. My first job was my first business was making websites for people. And I think I charged like $200 to make a website, and it was called Dimple.design. It was acquired by my mother, who decided that she wanted to start a grant writing business, and she liked the name. So it was I had my first successful exit. But I made websites for people. I had a business in college that was doing the same thing. I had a house painting business in college as well, which was brutal, but quite an experience. Slathered on the sunscreen and stood on a ladder in the 100-degree sun all summer. So I mean, I've always kind of had, and I had a couple of normal jobs too. I was a waiter, and I did telemarketing for a little while, but I've always sort of had the entrepreneurial itch in me, and so now I'm trying to kind of give that same thing to my kids.
So let's backtrack then. What was the young you thinking? Like, let's go about 5 years old, 6 years old.
Oh, geez.
What was your dream job? Like, what did you see and you go, that's me, that's what I want to do?
I mean, when I was 6, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. So it took me a while. I think it was when I was like, I think the entrepreneurship stuff really started like in junior high, because everybody around me was, all my other teammates were growing and I wasn't. And I think I realized I had some limited genetic material in my favor. So my dreams were dashed. But so I was like, well, what else can I do? And my mom actually was a single mom growing up, but got remarried to a guy who was a small business consultant. And he started handing me books like E-Myth or Rich Dad Poor Dad or Think and Grow Rich or whatever it was. And I was like, thanks, Dad. And then I put it on my shelf. But sometimes I pick them up and start reading them and decided it sounded really exciting. And it was that idea of just like, I don't have to wait for permission. I don't have to wait to be told or given a job or given an opportunity. I just have to go out there and find something people want and figure out a way to give it to them. So
that leads into my next question then. Who was your mentors? Like, who showed you some stuff and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So a couple things. My stepdad was obviously the first one in that regard. And he would have, I remember, just having clients of his sitting around the dinner table and listening to their conversations and kind of being fascinated by it. I went to college. I had a couple of mentors in college as well. A guy that was the head of economic development in the town I grew up in. A woman that had started her own marketing agency was a mentor of mine. I learned a lot about design and about marketing from her. And then yeah, I'd say those are probably the main ones growing up. And then books. I mean, I became, I think my stepdad gave me a love for reading. And so I would just tear through every Seth Godin book, every Tom Peters book, every Robert Kiyosaki book, every Jay Abraham book. It was funny. I would skip. I was a weird kid. I'd skip college classes routinely to go to Barnes and Noble and read Seth Godin books or whatever, or I'd skip a class and go get on the bus and go from Boulder to Denver to go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and I'd have like my silk shirt on and like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but like try to shake hands with people. I was a weird guy. So.
Yeah, but did you see that it changed you, that the entrepreneur bug? And the reason I'm asking this because I didn't get into entrepreneurship until late in the game, until late in my life. And then I realized that, hey, you're your own boss. And then the first thing that came to my head was, why didn't nobody in my school teach me to be my own boss? It was always learn to get a job, learn to get a job. How about learn to make your own money and be your boss? How come we don't teach that in school?
I don't know why we don't teach that. I mean, well, so I think most people that become teachers go through the education system. That's how they were taught. They went to college so that they could get a safe job. I mean, my mom and I still have a relationship with my biological father, but both of them, he was a lifer at a company. That was very much his MO. My mom being a single mom, I think like money and lack thereof was a big, strong narrative for her. So it was a very like scarcity kind of mindset. It wasn't really until I met my stepdad. And I don't know, I think I really do think that if I had not met him, I probably would have been more inclined to go down that path. I think he was the one that kind of opened up my eyes. And so I think that speaks to the power of just like, as you're thinking about kids, as you're thinking about other folks that you can mentor, like all it really takes is one person to kind of show you. It's like the Matrix a little bit. Like all of this stuff that we see was made by somebody. Right. And they stood up an organization behind it and all that kind of stuff. But it was originally the idea of a person who wanted to make the world different in some way and took the risk and went ahead and did it. And once you see that, it's really hard to unsee it. And yeah, I mean, so I think the other thing he gave me though was the idea of patience. I think you see a lot of folks, they decide that they get bitten by the bug, but maybe they feel like it happened later in life or whatever, and so they try to do like all the get rich quick kind of stuff. And the other thing he taught me was like, and I tell people now, it's like I can't tell you like I built an innovation consulting company with two other guys, and it'll be probably a $20 million consulting firm this year, but that took 12 years. In our first year in business, we made $40,000 between the three of us that we had to split. Like it took a long time. And so I tell people now, like, I can't tell anybody how to make $1 million in 90 days, but I can guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you I could show you how to make $1 million in 5 years. Right. But it's like incremental. It's like, let's start with one customer and then let's get a second one. And, let's grow 10% a quarter. If you grow 10% a quarter and you add time to that, you can have a pretty successful company if you're willing to kind of stick with it.
It's a marathon, not a 100-meter dash.
That's right. And I got that from him as well. So.
Okay. So then teaching our young kids, I sit down with my kids and said, okay, look, what do you want to do? Try small business, do this, do that. And I can see that the bug is slowly getting to them because they see the world, we getting up in the morning, have to go to a job, or they see me going out doing my own business. Yeah. What do we give them? Like, we don't want to force our kids.
Right.
How do you give them the little grain of salt here and a little grain of salt there?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was lucky in that. So when COVID hit, we made the decision to pull our kids out of school into like homeschool, like legit homeschool, which was incredibly hard because my wife works and I work. And so we had this like half day thing and it was nuts. But that was when we decided to do the lemonade stand thing because I told her, I want to teach them we're going to do math, we're going to do grammar, we're going to do all that stuff. I want to teach them entrepreneurship. And I went to try to find a curriculum and could not find one. And so that was what had led to the creation of the curriculum and the creation of the book and all that kind of stuff. But I was lucky in the sense that they were my students and they knew that. And so they kind of had to do whatever I told them to do. But I do it now too. So like my wife is a professional and she's a senior professional, very, very talented in her own right. And so we have kind of a nice balance where when they talk about the future, my oldest is in junior high now. And he's kind of, candidly, like my daughter is excited to go back out there this summer and sling lemonade again. My son is a little too cool for school. I think he's nervous about like seeing his friends at the beach or whatever, because they'll go there all the time by themselves now. But I'll just drop hints like, we made a website together when we did the lemonade stand. I taught them how to make Webflow websites and low code, websites. And I was like, man, like lots of small business owners would pay $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, whatever it is for a website. If you got really good at it, you could get yourself, by the time you're 16, you got 4 years, like you could get yourself, a pretty nice car. And so I just try to drop stuff like that and get them, and their eyes. I remember like the first time we got back from selling lemonade, after doing all the work and designing the bottles and all that kind of stuff, like, and they were counting their money. And I was like, you guys just made more than most high school kids, because they made $100 in like an hour and they were sitting there counting it and their eyes got all big. And I was like, yeah, like that's what can happen. And it's harder, right? It's a lot harder than going and asking for a job at Noodles and Company or whatever. But like, the upside is worth it if you're willing to kind of,
take the risk, try something out, and see what you like.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, I think it's just, and then they say, like they'll say stuff now, like, hey, I want to start. I want to go. I don't know. I want to go make cars. Like my son would say, like, I want to make cars. He's really into cars. And I was like, or you could start a car company, like Elon Musk did it, or whatever.
Exactly,
so like,
exactly.
It's so, he's not going to go start a car company from scratch, but like, I just want to get them out of the mindset that like you have to go and out, like you can also go and create the thing that you're wanting to do and you don't have to ask for permission. So I just try to drop hints like that regularly.
All right. Well, let's get to know you a little bit more and what you're bringing to the table. Here we go.
Sure.
It's time for rapid fire. How the game works is we put 2 minutes on the clock and you got 2 minutes to answer all these rapid fire questions that come at you. You can answer them and you can extend your answer, but remember, you got 2 minutes on the clock. And what you do is you got to pick A, B, C, or D. And those are the questions I'm going to ask you in the 2 minutes on the clock. Which one would you like? A, B, C, or D?
Let's do A.
Let's do A. All right. Clock is going to be on the right there, starting now. Question A, what's your favorite drink?
Coffee. Black coffee.
When are you most productive?
In the morning. I try to go to a coffee shop from 8 to 10 a.m. and I have a kind of a focus block and I throw my headphones on and I try to crank my like most important task and get it done in the first 2 hours.
Who inspires you and why?
Oh, geez. Lots of people. I think my wife definitely inspires me. She's navigated a very male-dominated kind of professional services world and has been very successful. My stepdad, again, taught me almost everything I know about business. I think Elon Musk inspires me, just like that guy, the risk that guy takes, and just the way that he's willing to kind of, I know he's got some weird ideas about certain things, but just like he's literally Tony Stark, which I just think is,
All right.
Summer or winter? Go ahead.
Summer or winter?
Oh, summer now. It used to be winter because I get sunburned, but when I had kids, it became summer.
What's happening in your life right now that's making you excited?
Oh boy. Well, I told my business partners actually that I'm stepping away after 12 years. So I'm going to still be an owner in the business. I'm going to work 1 day a week, but day to day, I'm stepping away and I'm kind of evaluating what I'm going to do next. I think it might try to help small business owners or something. I don't know. I'm excited about the future, I guess I would say generally.
All right. 30 seconds on the clock. Favorite number and why? Real quick.
Favorite number 8. It was my number in basketball.
There you go. Favorite cake.
Oh, geez. Carrot cake. It's healthy.
How do you start your day real quick?
How do I start my day? I use the restroom, I brush my teeth, I go give my kids a kiss, and then I go to the coffee shop.
Worst subject in school, 6 seconds.
Grammar.
Best subject in school.
Math.
There you go. You made it through rapid fire. When we come back, we're going to answer some of those questions that you answered about the best subject and things you get started.
Okay.
And that little nugget you dropped that you are walking away. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right.
CMJ Entertainment is a one-stop shop. CMJ Entertainment helps people do any type of events, and it's a marketing tool as well. So we'll cover everything from start to finish. If it's a wedding, we'll make sure your wedding is over the top. And if it's an event, we make sure that everybody gets information at the end of the day. Give us a call at 416-414-8964 or online, go to cmjent.com. Yeah. Yes, we're back live, and you know you threw a nugget in there, and it's congratulations that you are stepping away after how many years? And isn't that what entrepreneur is all about? The ability to make that money and have some freedom at the end to slow it down, to get back up, to do what you want to do.
It is. It's complicated when you do it in reality. I mean, I have two business partners, and the business partners want to stay in the business, and they want to continue to grow that thing for another 10, 20 years. And I think I just told them I'm good. Like I'm at a place where I don't necessarily need to go to the next step. The company has 80 employees. They do great work. Candidly, when we started, we were working with startups, and we moved upstream to like enterprise consulting. And I don't think that's my sweet spot. I don't think that's where my highest and best use is. But we have an amazing team, and I kind of replaced like you said. I mean, I hired someone in marketing who's better than me. I hired someone in product design who's better than me. From a culture side, we brought in a chief of staff who's better than me. So it's sort of, we're basically elevating. We have a consulting firm, and then we do early stage investing. So there's a venture fund. My partners are much more adept on the venture side than I am. I'm an operator. And so, yeah, I think I just over Christmas was thinking about what I want the next phase of my life to look like. And my kids are, I've made investments in my kids. My son is about to enter junior high. I think 13 through 18 is actually kind of a big deal. And I want to try to teach him how to be, what it means to be like a good man, or how to be good at being a man, and kind of I want to be a little bit more intentional there. And then do the same with my daughter. And so, I'm at a place where I can do that. My wife said, all I care about is that you can pay the mortgage. And we negotiated a deal where I'll work a day a week, and I'll pay the mortgage, and then, have some space to kind of think about and figure out what's next. So right now I'm like getting coffee with friends of mine in town that have small businesses, and just trying to be helpful. I think I enjoy that quite a bit, like going from
giving back of what you know.
Yeah, like going from it's helping someone go from like $200K to $2 million in revenue is way more impactful to that person than me helping a startup go from 5 million to 50 million. Candidly, I think that another venture fund could invest in them, and they would do just as well. There are a lot more people that have my superpowers in that world than in, the world of small business. And so I feel like my impact could be much higher, because I've seen it. I've seen the map, and I can show them, here's how you move. Here's how you hire your first person. Mm-hmm. And now it's no longer like, here's how you document that system so that you can replace yourself and elevate out. Here's how most small business owners manage their business based on their checking account, right? And financial statements and things like that don't make sense to them. So here's why your owner's salary is not the same thing as profit, like all of that kind of stuff. So I just think there's a lot of value that I could theoretically offer. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I'm just like having coffee with people and trying to be as helpful as I can.
The one thing that you said, and was hard for me, is I hired somebody else to do this. I hired somebody else to do that. How can you let go of your baby? This is your baby, and you let it go to give it to somebody else. A lot of entrepreneurs don't know how to let the reins go and trust somebody to do the same job.
What I did, and who knows? I'm figuring this out as I go to a degree. But the exercise that I took a friend through, he's a trainer, like personal trainer. He's got 20 clients. He has a girlfriend that works at Ernst & Young. He wants to get married. And I just asked him, like, what do you want your life to look like 5 years from now? And let's get specific and let's talk
Mhm.
numbers. And, I have a good enough relationship with him where he was willing to do that with me. And then I just pointed to him and I was like, man, like, you're capped. You will never get there at the rate that you're going. If you fast forward 5 years and it's you doing your 20 sessions a week,
Right.
you will never get there. And so you have to think about this business differently and assume and act as if, it's going to not be you ultimately doing the work of the business. And so I think tying it to what they actually want out of life, I think a lot of people are like, I hate my boss, or I could do it better. And so I start my own thing and I want to be financially independent, but they don't define what that means. And
Hmm.
it's just sort of like a dot, dot, dot. And so I created and I broke it into stages. I was like, stage one, let's max you out. Like, let's get you fully utilized. And even if anything, like even like 120% utilized, 130% utilized, so that you're de-risking bringing in that first person, right? Because you can hand them a book of business, and now like if he's 130% utilized for a while, and then he hires somebody, now they're each whatever it is 65% utilized. So
Right.
you're not bringing in somebody from like starting from zero and it's a cold start. Like, you're able to justify the expense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so
No.
then it was like, and then phase two is like, all right, how do you manage a person? Let's document all of the systems for onboarding that person and training that person, and get all of that stuff in place. And your first team member is the prototype that you're going to then kind of replicate as we go. And then it's the same thing. And like, so I showed him like, here's how you make decisions on when you hire somebody. It's not just because I don't like doing the work. It's, or I think I should. Like, there, you can quantifiably point to times when it makes sense to add staff. You can quantifiably point to times when it makes sense to cut staff, right? And
Right.
so like, use your numbers and use your statements to kind of guide you. So we basically made like a scaling model for him of like, all right, fast forward 5 years, here's what your business looks like. You've got 10
So
coaches that work for you,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
And
So
I see that you love teaching. So is that where the book came out? Let's talk about why did
yeah,
the book come out? Is it like I could see it in you, like the numbers and you telling people how to do it is really
yeah,
passionate about you. So
yeah,
explain the book and explain the title.
yeah. So this it was SIP was the name that the kids actually decided for their company. So we did a branding exercise and we taught them about like evocative brands and stuff like that. Basically, I created a curriculum for them because I couldn't find one, and the kids went out and they sold their lemonade or whatever, and these parents would come up to me probably a dozen times um, throughout the summer and just kind of pull me aside and be like, "How did you do this?" Because like the kids had their custom bottle, like the bottles looked like that, and like they had yard signs and they had T-shirts and they were taking credit cards at the beach and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, "How did you learn to do all this?" And I was like, "Well, I made it up as I went." And they were like, "Could you send me the curriculum that you did?" And it happened enough times where I was like, "This, I should just write it down." And I taught at Northwestern University for 8 years. I taught digital marketing, and so um, and I like the challenge of like learning how to do something new. So I used it as a challenge to like, I'd never self-published before, so I went through the whole Amazon, KDP process. I recorded an audiobook. I learned about that whole process, and so that was, it was super intellectually gratifying for me. But then it was a way when someone would reach out and be like, "Hey, could you send me the curriculum?" I had a place to send them to. So yeah.
So nice. So, the feeling that you get, the feeling that the kids get to start up their own business. Question for you. Do you know what they spent that money on?
My daughter did candy, and my son went to Jimmy John's. Actually, what we did is we did the piggy bank thing, like the multiple piggy banks. So we
Right.
had save, spend, give. So they
Okay.
have a bunch in savings. They had some to give away, and then the rest was their spending money. And they just, they buy all the junk that kids buy.
I
And
think I'm
I try hard not to like. It's like, this is your money. This is your money. You can do whatever you want with it. So
I think I'm on your daughter's side for that one.
that's
I'll
right.
be a lot of Twizzlers and a lot of
That's right.
chocolate for me. So there you go.
That's right.
All right. So if you do want the book, I just showed it to you right there. It is on Amazon. I think this
Okay.
is a fantastic idea. If you have young kids, especially this summer, you
Hmm.
know, it doesn't have to be something hard. It's
Yeah.
something fun that they can do to make a little money and to keep their mind going. And that's the main thing. Is they can see a little bit now. Maybe they might change next year. Might start at a lemonade stand and move to the next level.
That's
So you
right.
never know what the major thing is. So you said that they're going to do lemonade stand again.
My daughter is, yeah.
Okay, is she going to expand? She going to bring in some new friends as
I've
clients?
floated the idea. So yeah, like at the end of last year, we started having conversations about expansion, and I included that in the book about like opening up a second location and becoming a manager, and how to hire people and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's her. She has a good friend that wants to do it too. I told her, it's a negotiation. Like she's an employee, she's not the owner. So like, you
Right,
negotiate
right.
and negotiate an hourly rate that's fair. But like you did all the branding, you got all the materials printed, you're producing the lemonade. This is not a 50-50 thing. So like I'm taught,
Right.
teach learning, negotiation and all that kind of stuff. So
And
um
I just think that's a brilliant idea for all the parents that are thinking, what am I going to do with my kids this summer? You know what I
yeah.
mean? There's
Well,
something
and
to
I think
do right there.
I think the biggest thing was like I wanted to teach them, and the reason why we did like the labels and the packaging and all that kind of stuff is like everything can be made better. That was the other thing I wanted to teach them. It's like, yes, we could put up a card table and have Dixie cups, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like, honestly, they probably would have made a similar amount of money. But there was something kind of magical about, again, teaching them they have agency, and then like teaching them to look at every single aspect of the business and be like, how can we do that better? How can we do that better? How can we make that magical? So like they had the idea of stickers. We got little tiny stickers printed that they just give to kids whenever they order one. And it just was they it sounds over the top. None of the individual steps are all that hard, and the kids, like, their eyes light up when they see how cool it is when they get like their first bottle and they're showing it to their friends, and their friends are like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like their eyes, they get really excited. And when you teach them about overcoming objections, like, hey, I don't have cash with me, and they say, that's okay, we take credit cards. And someone's like,
So,
eh, you know
wait a minute, wait a minute.
eh,
These kids are taking credit cards.
the
Okay.
kids we were doing deliveries. Like they took orders online and they did deliveries. It was, like we did a whole thing. It was I don't know, man. I thought it was a super fun experience for me. I think my kids got a lot out of it. My daughter wants to do it again,
There you
so.
go. All right. Let's have a quick message from our sponsor before we go to our next game. Here we go.
I want to talk about sludge. It happens after you drive your vehicle for a while. It's a buildup of motor oil that gels, then collects dirt, metals, and unburned fuel. Sludge prevents oil from getting to the critical engine parts it's designed to protect. You'll notice your vehicle running rough, stalling, even vibrating. That's because friction is damaging your engine. Jill Cat's ProLine is the solution. This science was engineered for aerospace, tested in racing, and used by our military. Now, you can use this well-kept secret to protect your engine from future buildup, extend the life of the vehicle, and save on repair costs. Order at jillcat.com. JILCAT.com.
Yes, if you want your car to go better, go to jillcat.com. All right, it's now time for pick three. Here we go.
Now time for pick three.
It's now time for pick three. You're going to pick three numbers between 1 and 13, and those are the last three questions I'm going to ask you. You get to ask your own questions, my friend. So give me
All
three
right.
numbers between 1 and 13.
369.
369. All right, there you go. I love it. All right, question number 3. What advice would you give someone pursuing a similar career to yours?
I have told people forever to work for free, and that's a very controversial idea. But I learned design doing this. I was an account manager in New York. I wanted to become a designer. I wasn't good enough. I told the creative director, let me do work on my projects for free at night so that I can learn and get reps, because the company would do 300 sites a year, and I just knew I would get better way faster than if I tried to charge money for it, and I would get to work on real projects with real constraints. And so my income tripled in 18 months because he ended up leaving the company. I became his best designer. I wasn't in the beginning. I was awful, but over an 18-month period of time, I got really good. We did the same thing with our venture fund. We had a no fee venture fund. I'm having coffees right now with people and just kind of giving away my time for free to figure out the next thing. And like, am I good at helping small business owners? I don't know yet, so it's like the same ideas. Like, I think getting reps, getting testimonials, getting those kinds of things faster is really important to me. And I feel like you have plenty of time to charge. And I think you ultimately can charge a lot more because you'll have more experience. You'll have a whole swath of testimonials and things like that. So like I've used working for free as a shortcut throughout my career. So.
Okay. Number 6, you kind of answered this already, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit. The question is, who are the 3 people that have been most influential in your life? All right. I know you talked about, stepdad, mom and stuff, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit because we know it's those 3, but give me one point that each of them really nailed into you.
Okay. So my stepdad, I think it was the idea of agency, and that the world is malleable and I can shape it. And that, in his opinion, small business is the best way to do that. And I think from my wife, everybody, her secret to like networking, everybody, you go into an event or you're interacting with people and everybody is busy trying to make you think that they're the most interesting person in the room.
Yeah.
She goes in and wants you to feel like the most interesting person in the room. And so she just goes in assuming you're going to be fascinating and looks for that and looks for the thing that's fascinating, and then always is surprised and finds the fascinating thing. And so what ends up looking like is that she's asking questions and the other person's talking 80% of the time, and yet they walk away thinking, man, that lady's smart. Like it's just
it's a reverse, it's a switch,
and it's just a better way to live. Like she builds great relationships with everybody. So
I like your wife on that one, because when I go into these meet and greets, it's all about, you know what I can do, I've done this and I got 5 cars and I can this, I would make it. I'm like, okay, let's just have a conversation and we'll build on that. So I like that part 100%. Check mark for her on that. You know something?
What's that?
She gets a round of applause on that
one. Nice.
It's true. I've done a lot of networking. It's all about me. So I think
100%.
I'm putting it on the air right now. I'm stealing that idea. Okay,
Please do it.
Number 9. Where can we listen to you? Where can we find you? What's up next with you?
Well, I don't know what's up next, but you can listen to me. I still do. I have a podcast called The Disruptors. I interview venture-backed startup founders for the most part. So that's very intellectually gratifying for me, because I get to learn about companies that are reinventing healthcare or reinventing, like it's been kind of all over the place, transportation, hospitality, supply chain, everything. So I mean, that has been an outlet for me, and it's pretty fascinating. Again, I take a page from my wife. They're talking 80% of the time, but and then I write on the website, not as often as I should. Twitter is probably the best place where I kind of share the most, and I don't use it as a business tool. It's more of like how to be a good, be a good man, how to build my character. I'm mostly preaching to myself when I tweet, but other folks have found it helpful, I guess. So
there you go. All right, so there is his email. Make sure you give him an email and say, listen, I saw you on the show. Let's talk. Maybe you can help out my business, or you can just go straight to the site. But better yet, how about you just help out him and his kids and get the book?
Grab the book. That's right.
The book. Okay?
Leave a review.
There you go. It's not just for him. It's for his 2 beautiful kids right there. I love this picture, by the way.
Yeah, that was out. I drove them all around town, and we went to like 6 different grocery stores to find out unit costs. So that was what we were doing there.
Listen, I can see little man's got his hand in his pocket. He has the clipboard. He's just reading it off. And I guess sister is sitting there squeezing which one's the better ones. I can picture. There you go.
Yeah, she's the manager and delegates to him, most of the time, which is pretty hilarious. So.
Well, my friend, this has been enlightening, and I could see the pride, the smile on your face when you talk about this business, how the kids are doing. And I think every parent wants that smile, wants that business. So, hey, one more time, if you want to get into this, it's real simple. The book is there. Click on it. There it is. I'll enlarge it so you can see it. Sip. Love it. Learn from it and help them out. My friend, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Not a problem. Now, listen, everybody, we've been talking about this, and I joke around about, what can the kids do? We're entrepreneurs ourselves. And if we don't just give a little hint or a little taste of entrepreneurship to our kids, then what are we really doing? We can go out there and work 80 hours, 20 hours a week and just keep grinding. But the thing is, what are we grinding for? We're actually trying to make money to make our kids and family better. So spend some time with our kids, time to make them better, and teach them what we know. Live someone. Like I always say, you didn't have to watch, but I'm so glad you did. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.
Please be advised that this podcast is meant for educational and informational purposes only and is in no way a replacement for legal or medical advice. The opinions contained within are solely those of the interviewers and interviewees and should be received as so. Those seeking help or advice are encouraged to obtain professional